solid for quite some time. I do recall when they first started trying to play together. Wasn't always great, but they have come a long way. They work so well together, obviously train together all the time, know each other's game. You know, the Johnson family is a institution now, which is fantastic. And, you know, we used to say Georgia was kind of an unorthodox player with her grip and everything, but I feel like we see that so much now. We see a lot of unorthodox things nowadays, a lot of different styles, a lot of combinations with the new paddles and the things that your paddles can do now that they couldn't do before. I think it creates a lot of creativity, for sure.
For sure, yeah. I think Angie and Ryan in this game, you know, you're not really going to beat J-Dub and Georgia on hands or really grinding them out. So I think they just kind of have to play to their strengths, you know, trust what they want to do instead of trying to play their opponents.
I think it's really easy to get stuck in that. You know, you're coming against Johnson & Johnson, number 2 seed, solid team, and you forget who you are as a team, and they, you know, often will pull the trigger too soon and create too many things. They've just got to stay focused on what they need to do, what their plan is as a team, and not let those other things get to them.
Good 2-0 lead for the Johnson siblings.
And there's she missed the first drop, but that one is just over. She'll take it.
3-0.
And like we talked about, there is definitely wind throughout, so it does take some adjustment moments to get things kind of in line out there. A lot more legs, making sure that when you've got wind, you cannot overutilize that wrist, and that very often happens. People try to do too much just with their hands.
Wow, and that's an incredible speed up from Angie, but J-Dub was able to snag that. You know, it's really hard to get past J.W. Johnson.
You know,
some of the fastest hands on tour.
And people, you know, say, why is his hand so fast? He doesn't move excessively. It's one of the things that he sees the ball so well. He's solid on the court. He's not trying to chase the ball. He's observing and engaging.
Great point there from Angie, going behind JW again.
And you have to. I mean, you've got to move him off that middle a little bit. You've got to surprise him just a tiny bit. And like in that, I would like to see Ryan looking to help in that middle. He's kind of sitting there on his backhand and almost like he's nervous going behind, and that can't happen. He's got to be looking for that opportunity with the forehand. I think that's something we see a lot in players that you maybe tend to do a little bit better in men's doubles, and mixed doubles, it's slightly different. When you've got a player sitting on their backhand and they are playing the forehand space, they've got to be looking for that.
1-4-2.
There it is.
Point.
Right idea. I don't think Georgia's going to be missing that ball too many more times today.
Definitely hit that on me a couple times.
Yeah.
A little bit of a high drop from Angie. You know, I'd like to see Ryan come over, maybe drive that, try to force a couple of errors from the Johnson siblings over here. You want to try to keep the return, or the third, to the guy. It's great hands from J.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. I think the answer is usually it depends, and I do think it's a good point, because it is very often players think they've got to go with the girl, they've got to isolate. That's not the case. You do really need to play that male, especially on that third. But I'm always cautious when there's it's ever black and white. There's that in between stuff. It's going to depend on situations. But just the ball movement itself, you know, Georgia Johnson dropping that wrist down, being able to manipulate that ball very, very nicely, and that is causing a timeout. 32 mixed doubles. The Johnsons trying to find that career record over there. I'm having it's 170 and
Second serve.
58. It's really sunny. We don't have our tent yet. So I will just say, Will, I've at least had 2 of those wins. Early on in the Johnson players' career, they have just become an institution and put so much effort into training, building, and you've got them on the other side of the court. They are focused. They want to win, and we're at Worlds again. Like, who doesn't want to win this? We've got players from all over. I say one of the best events, but let's be real. This is the best event. This is where the best players in the world play.
Second serve.
And on the other spectrum, Walker and Foos.
2-6-2.
2 and 7. Slightly different. Obviously not as many matches, but I do think it's important they've got matches under the belt together. You know, that's the advantage that the Johnsons have. They're a solid team. They play together. You have a lot of teams mix up quite a bit, and it's hard to get in a rhythm. A lot of it has to do with being able to practice, be able to play with each other regularly, and that's what the Johnsons have. They train together, live together, and it's one of the best things that you can ask for, is being able to practice and play with your partner on a regular basis. And just a little bit there. And I think, like,
there's a big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
After review, the rally stands. The ball was in. Loss of a free challenge. No free challenge.
They lost that free challenge. Worth it. Like you said, that's a big score difference.
6-4-1.
Sometimes challenging a call does make a massive difference in a match. It's knowing when to use it. But it is working out on the side of the Johnsons.
We're going to resume play. 6-4-1.
6-4-1.
I like that. I like that it was off pace. And so I think that's one of the things some players struggle with in their first, you know, I want to say newer player, but like, it's from experience-wise. I mean, Johnson's been around for many years. And I see this with a lot of, especially coming over from tennis, being able to control different speeds of the ball, especially on attacks. I like that she looked for that lob, but she's moving back as she's hitting it. She's almost in defense before she even touches the ball.
Yeah. She also just kind of didn't hit the right spot there. You know, she kind of went a little bit more towards J-Dub's side instead of more on Georgia's backhand side, which is where you want to hit that lob.
Yep.
And they've had a lot of points that have been successful going behind J-Dub here.
Yep.
4-7-1.
Amazing. That entire point, the Johnsons barely moved. I just want to say that. And it's not because they don't have to, because they're reading the ball correctly. They know where it's going to go. That's veterans on the court right there, and you're looking at Fu and Walker.
4-7-2.
They're recovering before they've even hit a ball. And I see that a lot, people feeling like they need to do more than they actually need to, especially in doubles.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. You know, J-Dub and Georgia's movements, they might not move as much, but all of their feet, all of their movements are very efficient.
Yep.
And they know what they're doing with their feet.
When I think this is, you know, something we haven't, the Johnsons, neither of them have been injury prone over the years. And we see this a lot with players, their knee issues, hip issues, or wondering why they're, you know, getting in trouble. Well, they're moving too much when they don't need to. So you're losing efficiency. The court's a little bit smaller than a tennis court for sure. And there's a different kind of engagement, and that comes with time and knowledge. And I think that's your pickleball. It's, you know, Georgia and J-Dub and playing pickleball longer, you know, in their teenage years, whereas a lot of these other players coming in, they've played tennis, they're just moving into pickleball. And some things absolutely transfer, but some things you've got to adjust to the pickleball style.
9-4, 1.
Phenomenal lob. Wow, just really smart play. And even so that JW moved for that ball almost after it bounced, took about 3 giant steps. We're talking about efficiency here. And Georgia moves back with, they get dropped. She maybe took 3 steps to get to that ball. And that right there is what we're talking about, efficiency.
You know, it's almost 2 completely different styles of play. Ryan Fu kind of modeled his game after James Ignatowicz, who takes almost more steps than he needs to. And JW and Georgia are the complete opposite.
And most definitely with the paddle technology, it's a lot of players have been able to come over easier from tennis and use more of their tennis styles, where a few years ago we probably could not have done that. Definitely when I started, you could not do some of the tennis things with the way paddles were. But it's also some of the technology. Our hands battles have gotten shorter. There's not as many on that. So there's give and take for sure, which is also why UPA has set some phenomenal paddle standards, really invested in that growth.
4-9-2.
And there's one nice drive. Like you said earlier, I wish Ryan would come over and take that ball and drive it. Great ball behind JW.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of success going behind JW. They just have to watch out for that flick. They call him the flick wizard for a reason.
And that's where Walker keeps getting in trouble. She's backing up, ready to play defense when she doesn't need to. It's one thing if she's kind of getting her weight forward, but what's happening, she's pulling back, weights on her heels, and not giving her an ability to accelerate back into a ball forward. And just a little bit of a net clip that worked out in Fu and Walker's favor.
9-5-2.
Look at that.
Point.
And
Angie was a little bit late coming up to the line after the unwinding of the stack there. And Georgia just caught the perfect spot on her 3rd shot.
And it was just a really good drop. And that's okay. I think people often panic when they're like, oh, I'm not there in time. But the reality is someone's got a really good 3rd with spin like that. It's actually sometimes okay to not be at that line. Let the ball bounce, give yourself some time, move behind it rather than forcing yourself to hit a ball late.
It's incredible defense from the Johnson siblings.
Oh, actually, I don't know if they looked at that, but I couldn't see if that ball in or out. But that time, Walker did not back up. That was probably the first time in that situation that she stayed at that line, and it put him in a much better position.
5-10-1. Point.
It's a great drive from Fu.
No.
That's 2 successful drives that he's had. You know, if I were him,
absolutely.
6-10. First game, you know, they're underdogs playing one of the best teams in the world. You need to hit some of those.
Yep. There it is again. And that's the ball I feel like not enough players hit in mixed doubles. That 5th or 7th shot, kind of mid-court drive. Too many players try to block that or reset that, but he's got momentum. He's got room to move through it. Phenomenal choice.
Second serve.
That's not bad. They're on a little bit of a run right there. You're just going to second serve.
7-10-2.
Bridging that gap between them. And there's that inside out from Georgia that's kind of setting up that point.
Yeah. You know, I love Ryan Fu going for those shots. It's just so hard to get by these two.
Yeah. Like I said, they're strong and sturdy, very solid underneath them. And like we talked about movement, we talk about fast hands, the ability to hit multiple balls in a row. Big issue players have is they're hitting and recovering every single shot. It's actually taking away their time. And there is that first game. A little bit of push from Fu and Walker. Surprising, because like we said, it's a head-to-head. They've never played against each other before. I'm absolutely positive they've played in other realms, for sure, but not in this mixed doubles. And what I love about some of those balls that JW hits, it's just, let's hit it down. I think a lot of players, they try to do too much, try to generate a lot of spin or whatever. Hitting the ball down is one of the simplest things that you can do.
Point.
It's great defense from Ryan and Angie, just too good from the Johnson siblings.
Yeah, and you're kind of seeing Angie's, like, she's taking a few steps in, and Ryan's kind of staying back behind the baseline. That's actually what's catching her a little bit, and in that situation, it's, you know, a couple feet from the baseline, that could get you in trouble. So giving yourself a little bit more space back so your feet are not as exposed. And she was ready for that. So there's the benefit of, you know, often it's conscious. We do purposely step back, especially women. We're smaller, and it gives us a little bit of forward momentum. However, Angie was ready for that first ball, but she stayed in the same spot. She didn't use any momentum, so the second ball, she just wasn't there for.
Side out. Zero, 2-1.
And just, I mean, phenomenal play from Ryan too. Great feet getting there.
Zero, 2-2.
I like that Ryan was ready for that. He was looking for that forehand, which is what he's got to do, because, you know, Georgia and Liz have been in these kind of cross-court battles, and
2-0-1.
There's definitely opportunities that Fu could be taking. There we go. There's forward momentum. That's what she's got to do on those counterattacks.
Two, 0-2.
There it is again. He's going for it. But here's that difference. When you have J.W. Johnson and he's moving a little slower, he knows what he's doing. When players kind of stop at that point, it's a great time to go with their body. But J.W.'s just kind of moving right through it and actually accelerating. There's no need to be going to him in that. He could have gone middle. He could have gone to Georgia. But not to the hands of J.W. Johnson. And so,
especially after there's been a couple points. You know, most of the pattern in this game has been Angie and Georgia kind of dinking cross court and then looking to go behind both of the guys. So J-Dub kind of read that from past points, and he sat on the back end there and was really just.
Time in. 4-0-2.
Honestly, it was probably flying out. but again, that's why you hit body often. You miss hit it, if you can't get out of the way.
5-0-2.
Which, and I feel just the last couple balls, it seems like Fu's been rushing a little bit, and so popping up a little bit, giving the opportunity to JW and Georgia. And what I like about it is they're taking the opportunity. And this is a solid mixed team. When you've got it, you've got to take it. But they also know when to be patient. Their shot selection, their experience is unparalleled.
Wow.
Point.
It's a great lead for them starting off game 2.
Absolutely.
You know, I'd like to see Angie and Ryan be a little bit more aggressive, you know, starting these
7-0-2.
firefights. They're going to get a lot more points from that.
I think they've just got to get in the point and move it a little bit. I think it's becoming the pattern, just like you said, cross court, behind. There's got to be more to that. There's got to be a little more combos, ball movement, so that it's setting them up, because that same pattern is just not working.
Pre-challenge timeout receivers, 8-0-2, 45 seconds.
And is a challenge timeout. Data, you're collecting data on the shots, you're trying to see what your opponents are going to do, and game 2 they figured it out. They know what to expect from Ryan Fu and Ms. Walker.
Yeah. And if I were a betting man, I would say that Ryan and Angie yesterday definitely watched some film on JW and Georgia. You know, they've played a lot of matches together. Pretty easy to find
9-0-2.
weaknesses and strengths.
And this last few points, it's just, again, and I love that Ryan's trying to be more aggressive, but being aggressive at JW is not your answer. I love it, though. I love the idea. She's like, hey, we're up. I've got match point. It's 10-0. Let's just throw in a lob. She hasn't thrown in one the whole game.
0-10, 1.
Why not? And there's, again, just out of position. I understand people want to press and press, but when you're in defense and you just keep trying to move forward and you're not in a good position, what's happening is your feet are wide open, you're going to get on your heels.
0-10-2.
That's what he's got to be doing.
Yeah.
He's got to be going across on that to Georgia Johnson. And mind you, she's still going to get a ton of those, but it's going to be easier to be successful there rather than going to JW.
For sure.
And Georgia's like, well, just by the way, I'm still pretty good. and that is your trick, because if now he's going over so far looking for that middle, it's just leaving it wide open behind. Great change up on that serve, though. She threw in something different, gave a little bit different, but did not work out.
10-1-2.
Point. That's going to be the match.
Clean, precise. I think we will be obviously seeing much more of Georgia and JW Johnson, and that is our last match of the day. We have to actually go play our own matches, right, Will?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, so good luck.